The address will be starting soon. Please stay tuned. Conference as soon as it gets started. Um, please check for what the news updates, as we have posted them on my personal Facebook page and also on the NCTV 45 Facebook page. It will be posted again on our nctv45.com. And right now, as we wait for the governor's address, um, some things to note. Folks, I can't tell you enough. Uh, Stay at home. Don't make needless trips. Wash your hands. Uh, please disinfect using bleach, okay, to clean surfaces. And we gave you the measurements of that. I'll give them to you again. Half cup for a gallon, 4 teaspoons per quart. Isopropyl alcohol, excuse me. Do not dilute it. You can discolor some plastics. and hand sanitizer 70%. Um, Hydrogen peroxide in a spray bottle. We continue to wait, and we'll come back and let's check, see if as I give you a picture of the website, it's PAcast, and it's supposed to be starting soon, and they have not yet started it. As we've been keeping track, this was to begin at 6 p.m. It is 6 p.m. and all I can tell you is hang in there as we are doing. To get this information out to you. We will continue to wait as here we go.
All of us to confront it, to change, and to sacrifice. And I know that sacrifice is not easy, but it is real, and I don't want to minimize it. I want to be honest with you and what we're up against. So tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., we will begin to enforce the order made on Thursday for all non-life-sustaining businesses to close their physical locations. Now, I understand the challenges facing these businesses and the challenges facing all Pennsylvanians. I've worked to be responsive and flexible so that businesses can apply for a waiver to keep their physical locations open if they perform life-sustaining work. But already restaurants and bars have closed their dine-in facilities. An order made on Monday that we began enforcing on Wednesday has made over 3,000 contacts. The PLCB has made over 3,050 license holders. It turns out that less than 50 license holders have been out of compliance. Tens of thousands of businesses have already complied with Thursday's order to close their physical locations. And I want to thank all of them for their contributions to our safety. Today, Philadelphia made the decision to issue a stay-at-home order. I support the city's efforts, and will continue to work with counties and local governments to determine the best path forward as we implement our mitigation plan. Tonight, we're focused on ensuring full compliance with my order to close the physical locations of non-life-sustaining businesses. As I have said before, stopping the spread of COVID-19 will take contributions and sacrifices from every single Pennsylvanian. We all need to change the way we live our lives. We'll have to do that for a period of time so that we can emerge safe and healthy. We need time for our hospitals to prepare for the surge, and we need time to develop a vaccine. When this time is over, we'll need an even greater effort to get ourselves back on our feet. And back on our feet will mean something different than it did 3 weeks ago. For now, I'm reminding all non-life-sustaining businesses to do their part. For those who have already complied, thank you. This cannot be a government versus the individual or a government versus the business community thing. We're all in this together. There is no greater service you can perform for your family, for your friends and neighbors, than to close physical locations and practice social distancing. For those businesses that have not, we'll begin enforcement tomorrow at 8 a.m. We're doing this to keep us all safe and to stop the spread of COVID-19 that threatens the health of the whole Commonwealth. So thank you. And now I would be happy to take questions.
Governor Wolf, we're going to start our questions with a few that we've received from Spotlight PA and WITF about shelter in place. As you know, several cities and states have already issued shelter in place or stay at home orders. And as you mentioned just earlier today, the city of Philadelphia announced it is instituting a stay at home order starting at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Are you planning to do the same for the rest of the state, given how rapidly the virus appears to be spreading?
Yeah, that's something that has to be under consideration, and it is for Pennsylvania. Look, what we're trying to do here is buy time. We need to keep what happened in Italy from happening here in Pennsylvania. We cannot overload our healthcare systems, or we're not going to be able to do anything to respond adequately to the challenge that we're all facing. So we need to buy time, and the things that Pennsylvania has already done is aimed at doing just that. And if we have to do more, we will.
We also received a number of questions about the waiver process that's in place now through the Department of Community and Economic Development for businesses who were ordered to close and considered non-life sustaining. So earlier today, the DCED Secretary, Dennis Davin, did talk to reporters and talked about how many thousands of waivers they have received there. Can you tell us a little bit more about the process to review those waivers? And I have a follow-up question after that.
Sure. I mean, the idea is that we came out with a list of what is considered essential, non-essential businesses. And at the same time, we created a waiver process, a very robust waiver process, to allow businesses who thought that, maybe they should be this should be reconsidered, or they are. If the list, they read the list literally, they would be non-essential, but actually they're doing some essential things. And so we have this waiver process. And I think, as Secretary Davin said earlier, we've had thousands of waiver requests come in, and most of them will be out by later tonight.
Thank you. And as a follow-up to that, can you also talk about, is the state considering any way to work with businesses who are seeking waivers, or businesses who have been required to close, to help with maybe where we need supplies, or where a manufacturer might be able to step in and do something that they weren't able to do before but could be retrofitted for those new types of needs, or just more innovative tasks that businesses could undertake?
Yeah, we're willing to do what we can to help businesses. Again, what we're trying to achieve here is keeping people safe and keeping them home, keeping them separated from other people who might be carriers of the disease is what we're trying to do here. If we can buy some time, then we're not going to face the overwhelming health crisis that Italy has faced. If we don't succeed in this, then our health systems are going to be stretched beyond their limit, and we're going to be facing the dire consequences of what Italy has faced. We're trying to avoid that, and that's what we all need to work together on. So we will work with businesses. I understand the challenges and the dislocation that this is causing, but this is something that we're all trying to fight. And if we aren't successful, the consequences are going to be even more dire than the consequences that we're facing right now. So I want to make sure that we're doing the best we possibly can, we're doing this right, but we all recognize that this is really a tough thing that we're asking of ourselves, because if we don't succeed, the consequences are going to be even tougher.
We have a couple of questions, one from PA Post and one from Spotlight PA, about our primary. Can you tell us more about the new balloting process expected? And can you also confirm that there has been an agreement with legislative leaders to postpone the April 28th primary?
But we all recognize that this is really a tough thing. I cannot confirm that if we have an agreement, the consequences are going to be even tougher. But I think
we have a couple of questions, one from PA Post and one from Spotlight PA.
Understand that the counties have been asking for a postponement. That it's tough to train poll workers who are reluctant to come in for training. And so this is a real issue. And the legislature, to its credit, is working very hard. We're having robust conversations, but we have not had an agreement at this point.
Can you describe the extent to which you think hospitals are prepared with equipment, personnel, and bed space to handle the surge of patients?
Well, it depends on how big the surge is. If the surge is moderate, they're prepared. If we end up in a situation like Italy, they're not. And that's why we're trying to buy time. We don't want to be in a situation where the demand for services is greater than the ability to respond. If we can buy time, then we will actually build capacity. We can get the N95 masks. We need the protective equipment. We can get manufacturers to start producing the ventilators that we need in much greater supply than we have right now. So we have much to do to get our health system to the point where they can deal with a big surge that this kind of epidemic is going to require. That's exactly why we need to buy time, so that they have the time to build that capacity.
Governor Wolf, in your original order for schools to close, that would mean that they are set to reopen a week from tomorrow. Given the virus's continuing spread, have you made a decision on extending your order that schools remain closed?
I haven't made a decision yet, but that's something that we're going to be facing this week.
A follow-up to that, what are the metrics you will use to reassess how the mandates are working and when they can be let up? What are the timeframes you are looking at for reassessment?
We're looking at those on a daily basis, and we'll be looking at that probably at least once or twice a week to see if the metrics that we're using need to be redefined, or if we need to reevaluate. But basically, what we're looking for is a beginning of a point where that curve that is now going up in terms of people who test positive for the disease. When we start to see that move down, then that is when we're going to be able to start relaxing. That's when we'll know that we're buying the time that we need to allow the healthcare system to build the capacity and develop the capacity that they need.
When we talk about the healthcare system, we have a question on hospital workers who say they're in dire need for masks. What exactly is being done to increase supplies?
Looking a couple things. I'm looking for sources of supply that we haven't used at this point, and I'm following up on every lead I get. We're also looking, and I've had conversations with manufacturers who are hoping that they can repurpose their manufacturing lines to produce these masks. So I'm doing everything I can, working with the federal government, working with manufacturers, the business community, to look for sources of supply for these. They're called N95 masks that can be used. If we don't do that, if we don't find those, then the questioner is absolutely right. The healthcare workers are going to be put in harm's way, and we cannot afford that.
Other states have allowed liquor and wine stores to remain open. Will you reverse course on this shutdown decision?
Yeah, we are looking at that very seriously. I'm trying to understand the thinking in other states. There is, on the one hand, this is can be considered something that is a non-essential retail function. On the other hand, the folks in the Department of Drug and Alcohol programs have reminded me that in some cases this actually gets to a medical question, substance use disorder. So we're trying to be as sensitive to that issue as we possibly can.
We've had several questions about enforcement of the closure order. How exactly will enforcement work? Pennsylvania State Police will be a part of this, but who else will be assisting? Pennsylvania is a large state. How will this work?
Yeah, the Pennsylvania State Police sent out a directive, a release just shortly, a few hours ago, I think, that tries to outline this. And basically, the state police directive is intended to go to local police enforcement agencies throughout the state in all 67 counties. And the idea is, again, that almost all the businesses in Pennsylvania have been compliant. If some are not, then the police, local and or state, together, singly, we'll go in and remind the business that, you're not considered essential, you're not life-sustaining, so you should be closing, you should not be open. They have the ability to issue citations, but I think the idea is, and the hope is, that the businesses that have remained open are doing that because they haven't understood the order, or they're not in full compliance because they aren't sure where they stand. So the idea of the police going out to make sure that we hit full compliance is something that I think is really important.
What is the state doing now to help assist businesses and their employees that will be closing to get by day?
Well, the state is actively working to build some capacity, some administrative capacity, so things like unemployment insurance, that we're able to respond on a timely basis. The big responsibility, of course, is at the federal level, and right now Republicans and Democrats in Congress are working with the administration over time to try to come up with a plan to do that. And it's trillions of dollars that they're talking about. I think the question is what is the amount and how will those dollars be used? The function for the state, we have some financial responsibility, but the biggest part of our responsibility is on the administration to make sure that those dollars that the federal government appropriates, it gets to the families and people who need it as quickly as possible.
Will you grant a waiver to PennDOT for construction per the request from Speaker Turzai?
Yeah, I have not read Speaker Turzai's request, but PennDOT is continuing to work on projects that get to failing bridges and places that need to be repaired in order to keep our highway network open. The prohibition exists only when it comes to elective new construction projects. So I'm not exactly sure where the speaker thinks that we disagree or where we're in difference, but I look forward to reading his letter.
With many consumers overbuying and reselling essential items online at a higher price, how do you plan to combat price gouging?
Yeah, the actual responsibility for looking at price gouging is the Attorney General, and he and I have been in contact with each other, and he is looking at many examples, and he has enforcement agents who are working on that as we speak. So that's the arm of state government that actually looks at price gouging, and I fully support the work that he's doing.
Governor, can you tell us how many violations have been issued or cease and desist orders issued so far by the Department of Health for violations of restaurants and bars?
No, I can't. I don't have that, but I can get that to you.
What is your response to the lawsuits challenging your power to order these business closures statewide?
Well, as you know, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to me that in a democracy that we do things and government operates by the consent of the governed. That's the way it's supposed to work. But every democracy from time to time faces crises, and so in those democratic systems, people have been given the ability to do extraordinary things, to respond to the extraordinary situations. And that's what I'm using right now. The Constitution of Pennsylvania gives the governor certain extraordinary powers to deal with an extraordinary situation like this. So again, I'm not a lawyer, but I doubt that there's should be any question as to whether those powers exist. I think it's a fair question as to whether this crisis rises to the level where those powers are necessary. I think I would argue, just from a common sense, practical point of view, we're in a really dire situation here, and we need to actually have the ability to, our democracy needs to have the ability to respond to it.
With more cases of coronavirus being announced, will the mitigation efforts be extended past 14 days?
That's a great question. I mean, we're trying to buy time. And when we see at this point, we still are recording more new cases each day. So we're going the wrong way. If we keep going on the curve that we're going right now, we're going to end up where Italy ended up. And that is not going to be good. So when we start to see a decline in cases, when we start to see the things that we're doing actually work, then we can say we've won the time that we want to. We're not there yet. So yes, initially it was 2 weeks. I want to see that curve start to bend, and when that happens, that is not. I'll be the happiest person in the world to say we don't have to do these draconian things anymore. But until then, I think we all need to work together to keep our distance from each other and to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to ensure that our neighbors, our friends, our families, our businesses are safe.
Governor Wolf, are you confident this non-life essential business ban will work? And is there a threshold that you feel might need to be reached before you would order something such as shelter in place or stay at home orders?
No, we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that people keep their distance. So that means, closing restaurants except for takeout. It means closing bars and doing all the other things to limit how people can congregate. That's why Major League Baseball has shut down for the foreseeable future. It's why the NBA, the NHL have shut down. It's why the NCAA said we're not going to have the March Madness. All these things, we're in new territory. So I think that these are common sense things that are just going to keep people from congregating, and that's going to be a good thing. To the extent that people do come together, to the extent that people aren't careful, we'll have to keep looking for new ways to try to counter that. But in the meantime, all of us share the responsibility for making sure that we stay safe. And to the extent that doesn't work, I'll keep looking for new ways to address that problem. Again, the goal is to buy time so that we do not overload our healthcare systems. If we don't succeed in this, if what we're doing isn't enough, and we can't succeed in this no matter what we do, we're all going to be in really, really big trouble.
Governor Wolf, that's all the questions we have time to answer today. Thank you to all the reporters who submitted questions. If we were not able to answer your question here, we will respond to you later this evening. And thank you for your time, Governor Wolf.
Well, thank you, everybody. And to Pennsylvanians, my fellow Pennsylvanians, thank you for doing everything you're doing to keep us safe. Thank you.
That was Governor Wolf on NCTV 45. I will make sure that I get the post up to you of the comments as we have taken it. He basically, paraphrasing, limit your amount of time. If you're a non-essential life business, please don't be open. Don't congregate. Keep a social distance. Work to stay healthy with the washing of the hands, the cleaning of surfaces. And he wants to try to stay away from what other people have done. Okay, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, so please listen, but it sounds to me as he's saying, please use common sense. This is a very bad situation. We really don't want to become Italy, and with a lot of Italians in Newcastle. Do what you have to do, but stay home, get clean, read a book. I've gone out of my way get tapes of spelling bees, parades, stuff from the 90s, stuff from the 80s. You can look back and laugh and kind of get your mind off this and really, really take that break that you really need, because in the words of Lou Holtz, if you get you make a fist real tight and you get yourself so tense, then go to pick something up, you'll probably drop it. You know, it's important to know what the signs and the symptoms are. It's important to know how to keep things clean. And it's important that while you're at home, preoccupy yourself. Whether it is watching one of our shows, watching a home movie, playing a game with the kids. We have First Presbyterian Church on, we have Holy Spirit Parish on. We've done stations, we've done the Rosary, we have Cook in the Castle. There's a lot of things that you could share and do that are right here for you to relieve some of that time. Now, we will continue to bring you coverage, updates. I ask you to think about what you're doing, try to stay home, and non-life sustaining businesses, I know how tough that is. It's a very difficult thing. For our viewers, remember these sponsors. They're being asked, whether they're with us, not with us, were with us before. The businesses in Lawrence County are going to need your support big time. Very, very big time. Thanks for watching. Anytime on your time. NCTV 45. Have a pleasant evening.